I was asked by, I believe it was our city administrator and our police chief, to look into renewing our contract with Redflex. And for those of you that don't know, Redflex is the company, they're one of really two companies worldwide that produce the unmanned traffic speed enforcement cameras that we had out here. And they do red light cameras, and they also do something that's called handheld photo enforcement. So it would be just like the speed camera, except the police officer would operate the camera manually. About renewing our contract with them, it's somewhat complicated, and we would have to have a new ordinance to do it. It's complicated by the fact that the Tennessee legislature passed a law that essentially banned unmanned speed enforcement cameras in the state, with some limited exceptions, school zones and S-curves where you have blind turns. That law is Tennessee Code Annotated 558198, particularly subsection L, so it's L1 and 2. And I've talked to Redflex. They're going to get us a proposal. We don't have a proposal yet because of another somewhat semantic issue that we ran into, that we don't want to run afoul of the state law by going forward with the handheld enforcement in the event that there is an issue with state law, and I'll explain all that in just a second. They're going to get us a proposal once we get all this ironed out, but what we had looked into doing is potentially the handheld enforcement and red light cameras. Red light cameras are still perfectly lawful in the state. There's a question as to whether or not the handheld photo enforcement falls under the law. Basically, the way the law was drafted that outlawed the unmanned speed enforcement cameras, those cameras work by, they capture a photograph of any car that's speeding across the lines, and then the ticket is sent, it's reviewed, the videotape's reviewed. The ticket is then sent to the registered owner of the vehicle. You run into a bit of a problem because speeding laws in the state designate that the driver is the one who incurs the penalty in speeding, and so that implicitly suggests that the officer would have to actually manually give out the ticket to the person driving the car. The handheld enforcement would send the ticket to the registered owner. So with red light cameras, the state has allowed tickets to be sent to the registered owner, and then they can come and show up to city court with an affidavit disclaiming that they were not the driver on the date in question, and then get out a ticket that way. And that's how they get out of, it's not seen as a moving violation, so they can get around this law. The ticket has to go to the driver. I discussed this with General Counsel for Redflex. We had a conference call with them and with the counsel that they use in Tennessee, out of Nashville, I believe. So we requested Attorney General opinion to really iron out that issue and provide further clarity as to whether or not an ordinance for handheld photo enforcement could be policed the same way that the red light cameras are, where if the person can affirmatively state that they weren't the driver on the date in question, then they can get out a ticket, and we can kind of fix the semantic issue of the driver being issued the ticket versus the registered owner being issued the ticket. I'll report back once we find some kind of answer if the AG responds to that. They almost always respond. It varies in the amount of time that you have to wait in between requests for an opinion and when you get a response. That being said, we don't have a proposal yet, but they will get us something once we figure that out. We thought it was good to, be as careful as possible, because you don't want to enter into a contract and then turn out you're breaking the law. So that's definitely not what I wanted to do. So, and you also didn't want to jump feet first in this handheld photo enforcement and be the first town that starts a wave of towns doing that, and then before you know it, there's a big class action lawsuit that says that this is wrong and you're implicated in something like that. So in the interest of being careful, and that's kind of what lawyers do, we're going to take a little more time, figure out exactly whether or not we can go forward with the handheld photo enforcement, and then we'll get a proposal in from them, and we'll have something to actually really discuss and vote on.
It might be a good idea if we just wait until we can see if we can even do it, because it might answer the question altogether.
I guess a potential alternative is that they give us the proposal for red lights. We go through that, and then they could even include the proposal for the handheld cameras pending answer by the AG or pending an opinion by the Attorney General's office. I'll discuss that with them. I've got somebody I can get a hold of really easily, so we can.
When you get something in concrete, you can let us know, and these people can meet.
Yeah, I'll
discuss it, look into it.
As soon as we have something